r/ProRevenge. Former manager made my life hell and I finally got her fired. I was desperate to join a new job after my husband and I were both laid off last year. When I was offered a new role, I knew it would be a step down from what I was doing, but the manager and the team seemed great, and that part has not changed. However, since my manager Gary * was so busy, he basically offloaded me to another manager, Jane Starr. I was supposed to be the connection point between my team and Jane, but it quickly became Jane micromanaging me. She would ask me to work through lunch, move/cancel vacation days, call at 11 p.m. on weekends, and order me around on phone calls. She also made nasty comments about my weight and said I was big for my race. The list of personal slights so long that it filled 3 pages. I would talk back to her and she did not like that, and that provoked her more. I only stayed because we needed to pay the bills. Finally, I had a mental breakdown on a Friday afternoon, after she yelled at me for something trivial about scheduling a meeting without including someone from her team who I didn't know about. I was dealing with a family tragedy and couldn't take it anymore. I told Gary about the situation with Jane and he was sympathetic and not at all surprised considering half her team quit. He immediately offered to move me to a different team under him. I was thrilled. Well, turns out going to the new team didn't help. Jane continued to order me around from afar. When I ignored her emails, she came to my desk one day and started loudly talking about how I am not qualified for this role. Gary overheard and finally told her off, but the verbal abuse did not stop. After 2 months there, I abruptly wrote my resignation letter and stapled the list of Jane's offensive comments, and CC'd everyone. Gary offered a bunch of accommodations to try to keep me, but seeing how she was still provoking from afar, I said the only way for me to stay would be for her to go, and he did not have authority to let her go. Her manager was in a different country and despite several HR complaints from at least 5 people, nothing was done. So I left, loudly and without shame, telling everyone exactly why I was leaving. Times were very bad for 3 months. There were nights we would eat slices of bread just so we could pay the mortgage and emergency expenses from a health crisis and a funeral. Even after he found a job, we were still catching up on bills and still are. I spent months applying to 5 to 10 roles per day, sometimes over 20. Last month, I saw a public memo about a big shot from a former company joining the company I just left. I used to work with this guy closely and texted him a congrats, let me know if you need any insights on the new place. We had a quick call where I told him some ins and outs, where I thought they could innovate. After this call, he asked me to join the team as his chief of staff. I accepted. Imagine Jane's shock when we had our first all-hands call. All the VPs and above were asked to welcome the new big shot in a giant conference room. In Big Shot's speech, he breezed over that I'll be his chief of staff, along with a few key names. I now sat 2 levels above Jane, and apparently, within the 3 months I was not there, the other half of her team turned over. Every single person left. Gary was excited for me and said all nice things. However, Jane took the classless route and sent Big Shot an email about how I'm an unqualified idiot, that I used to work for her, how I tried to get her fired, and that she suspects I lied to get ahead. She didn't even try to be fake nice. Big Shot forwarded me her email and asked what this was about. I was so nervous and excited. Little did Jane know, I was a director at Big Shot's competitor company and was already a level above her, so 2 levels isn't a big leap, and I worked with him for 5 years. I had an hour call with Big Shot and told him she was bad for the company culture and was a nasty person in general, but the evidence he needed was Gary confirming that her whole team has turned over, my prior resignation letter which was still sitting on my desktop when I logged in upon return, and a few other nasty emails she sent her recent staff, which they were happy to share with us. Big Shot fired Jane on Friday. Greedy owner tries to rip off my friend, ends up paying him double. My first job out of college was for a local TV station. The owner was, and still is, the worst human being I've ever met. This guy has money, but he will cheat and lie, anything to get out of paying his bills. When I started working there, the owner had just signed a contract with DirecTV to become part of their broadcast package. Since they were at the time purely a local TV station, this meant that we had about 2 months to upgrade our system so that we can start broadcasting to DirecTV customers in the entire Bay Area. Every day that we fail to do this past the deadline means that the owner would suffer a penalty, per the contract. Not knowing about how any of this works, the owner hired a friend of mine to come in as a freelance consultant. My friend told him that for about $15,000 USD he can get a system that will automate the entire process, which of course this guy didn't want to pay. He tasked my friend with finding a cheaper way, around half, and to pay for all the hardware upfront and get reimbursed later. Knowing what a piece of sh*t this guy is, I warned my friend not to front the money because he wouldn't get paid back. The guy just smiled and said, "Watch me." So he made it work, we went live on schedule and the owner was happy. Then my friend went in and presented the guy with the bill. Immediately the usual excuses starts, "Oh, I'm a little short this month, can I pay you later, etc. etc." Then my friend pull out the trump card. Not only did my friend threaten to take all the equipments back and takes the station off the air, he reveals that in order to get the uplink working for cheap, someone had to come in every day and code the broadcast manually. It's not a terribly complicated procedure, takes less than 5 minutes, but of course no one else at the station knows how to do it but him. So either the owner can pay him what he's owed, plus a $2,000/month consulting fee, or the station goes dark and he starts paying the penalty to DirecTV. The fucker paid, fast. So instead of $15,000, he ended up shelling out more than double that amount as my friend lapped up his $2K/month fee for close to a year before he felt bad and finally teach someone there how to do it. Moral of the story, only thinking about short-term gain will always cost you more in the long run. My mother ruined my life. So I made sure she ruined her own life with the same lies she told that ruined mine. Sorry for bad English, it's my first language. Formatting might be wonky thanks to mobile. My mother is a textbook narcissistic parent. So when I, at the age of 6, called my family crying because I knew something was wrong and she didn't love me, my mother decided to punish me for ruining her image. She spun this story to my family, I was a pathological liar and I was brainwashed by her mother to ruin her life. She effectively cut me off from my family and from the outside world and made sure I had no internet or cell phone access until I moved out. She prevented me from getting a job and tried sabotaging my efforts to get into college. I went through hell in that house. When I was younger I retaliated in immature ways. But as I got older I was very careful with how I talked to her. I only ever told her the truth. Remember, she convinced herself that I was a pathological liar. So if I tell her the truth she will now think whatever I said is only intended to hurt her. If I say you should bring an umbrella today it looks like rain. She will make a point to not bring one to spite me, and get caught in the rain. If a friend said something similar to what I said, and was genuinely trying to help her, my mom would think that person is her enemy and remove them from her life. She only has nasty people in her life since she's removed herself from everyone who cared. Some examples if you care to read. I would tell her about her friends that were plotting behind her back. She didn't believe me and hung out with them even more. They put her name on the payment for an object she doesn't have and has to pay tens of thousands of dollars for. You can't say I didn't warn her. When she had job issues I would tell her exactly what she was doing wrong and why people don't like working with angry, difficult people. She thought I was trying to hurt her so she doubled down on her behavior. I hear she's fighting to keep her job. Would suck to be fired right before retirement. You can't say I didn't warn her. She called me looking for advice. LOL right. She was basically going to fly across the country to go stalk someone, and I told her not to do that, he'll dislike her even more, and he could call the police. I got in touch with her dad and told him to try to stop her. She went because now she was convinced it would work. The poor guy was hiding in his workplace while she was outside crying for him to come outside. You can't say I didn't warn her. I hear she's in therapy now, but it doesn't seem so be working much. I can imagine why. It must be a very upsetting experience to have a professional tell you the same lies your pathological liar of a daughter told you. I think this is how you kill someone with kindness. Smiley face, TL, DR, abusive narcissist mother convinced herself I was a pathological liar. So I only told her truthful things. Now, whenever people try to help her, she is reminded of me and thinks they're trying to sabotage her. I've ensured my mother ruins her own life with the same lies she told that ruined mine.